Hello and welcome to another product tutorial video presented by Stein Investments. This one is all about FX levels, our latest support and resistance indicator, which is only a few months in the market, but already very popular and praised as nothing short of exceptional and the best SR indicator on the market. And if you are not convinced yet, I can only recommend having a closer look and check it out yourself. And in this video, I will talk about all the functions, input properties, and their impact to what you see on your chart. The FX Levels product page provides you trade examples and a few example charts to see that this tool works across all assets. This is a Nasdaq chart. The other one is Bitcoin. Here we have the Euro USD daily chart. And a few functions are already explained here, but we'll get in detail in this video. So let's move on to the chart and speak about the details. You may wonder why you are seeing the FX power panel here as well, but I just use this delta map to switch easily through the symbols we want to check today. Now let's have a closer look at the FX levels input parameters, and the first and one of the most important one is the calculation type you like to use. FX levels comes with two different ones. The classic Lighthouse mode, our long-term users already know it. Lighthouse was one of the most popular SR indicators in the market for almost a decade. And so we kept this algorithm alive and provided a new one, which is now the dynamic mode and the default mode for FX levels, which is less static and more price action driven by analyzing candle patterns. So the best way to compare both calculation types is to see them side by side, and that's what we already prepared here with these two Euro Swiss franc charts. On the left side you can see the SR levels drawn by Lighthouse and the levels drawn by the dynamic mode. The most obvious difference is that you get a lot more levels here drawn by the old Lighthouse mode than with the dynamic mode, and the simple reason is that in the dynamic mode the levels become obsolete more quickly once they are broken, while with the Lighthouse mode it's the case that former resistance becomes a support level once it's broken. Here is such an example. You see this was a resistance level as the price was hovering around here. Then the price went through, peaked here upwards. Let's see if we can get a better look here. Peaked upwards, dropped down, and was moving further to the upside. And so this former resistance level, which is drawn dotted here, became a new support level now. This is not the case with the dynamic mode, because here this resistance just has been broken through and then it became obsolete, and then we wait where a new support level will be built. So that's maybe the easiest way to explain the difference between these modes. On the other hand, I have to say that some levels are also missing in the more static approach of Lighthouse, and this is this area we can see, which is forming now a new support level here. But we can also see that Lighthouse caught this peak high, which was not caught by the dynamic mode because the candle patterns didn't detect it as possible resistance, and so it's not drawn. But either way, it's no big deal. You don't have to decide, because thanks to our multi-instance option we provide here, you can use two FX level instances in one chart. You just have to give the additional instance a separate ID. I would set it to 2 in this case, and then you can use both modes side by side. I'll prepare you a chart where you can see how this will work out, and I'm back in a second. I almost forgot that you're here to learn something, and so I'll show you how to add an additional instance to the same chart. And the first thing we need to do is to give the new instance, the additional instance, a separate instance ID. In this way, the indicator is able to handle all its objects correctly as the panels or the drawn labels. And if you want to separate them even further, you can choose to get the duration of the age of the ESR level here on chart as well, and then you can easily separate the dynamic levels from the more static lighthouse levels, because they came now without the duration, while the dynamic levels show you when they have been formed. The panels are also able to be managed separately. You can move them wherever you want to and sort the chart as you like. Let's move on with a single instance setup and check the next input parameter, which is all about the history of the support and resistance levels. And here you can define how far back the history will be drawn and if it's drawn at all. If you set this to false, then you'll get only the current levels that are relevant for today's trading and no further information about the history. This parameter is also relevant for the dynamic candle pattern based algorithm, because it defines how far back the algorithm looks to determine the support and resistance levels. And if you look back only 250 bars, you will find almost no level. It's only these two. This is the current one, which is still valid. This one is already outdated because it has been broken here. And you also see there is only this one active level. But if we raise the number of bars to be considered, like 10,000 for example, then you'll get further support and resistance levels that are older, and these are drawn far below, and then you know the exact situation you are facing on this chart. So you can determine more levels with more bars, but the question is if that's really relevant for you, and we set 5,000 as default, which seemed to be a good value to start with. The next block of parameters covers the additional chart time frames you can use to be displayed on your current trading chart, and here you can decide from a drop-down list what is interesting for you. We have a 5-minute chart here, and so I'd like to display the 15 minutes, M30, and maybe the 1 hour chart here as well. So this means you will get the support and resistance levels based on these charts as well displayed on your main trading chart. And then you'll see at a glance from which time frame the corresponding level is. Of course, we can display only the support and resistance levels of higher chart time frames. So if you choose to switch to maybe M30, you won't see the levels of M5 or M15. The next parameter in our list is related to the classic Lighthouse mode, so FX levels will adjust the drawn Lighthouse SR levels based on the chart time frame you're currently using. Our older customers that are already used Lighthouse will know that we already had this auto adjustment parameter in our previous SR indicator, and so we provide it here as well. Of course, you can also decide yourself which one to use, but we highly recommend using the auto adjustment. Then the indicator decides what's best based on your chart time frame. The next section covers the broker settings. We all know you are trading with different trading servers, which mostly come with different time zone settings, and in this section we want to equalize these differences and provide you an almost identical SR drawing experience across your brokers. It's not that easy because the data feeds in the market data differs as well, but we do our best to cover at least the time zone settings and provide you reliable results across all your brokers and terminals. The instance ID has been already covered with our multi-instance settings a few minutes before, and so we can move on to the alert settings, and the alerts are self-explaining. Here you can enable alerts when a level is touched. Then there is another alert if a new level appears, and you can also enable an alert if a support and resistance level has been broken. Then there come a lot of graphical settings. I won't go through all of them, but you can see you can change the font and font size. You can change the colors and how the SR levels are drawn. And here, please feel free to experiment yourself. And these are all just graphical stuff. You can configure it as you like and as you prefer, so there is not much to say about this. The notification settings are the same across all our indicators, meaning you can display pop-ups, send emails, send mobile notifications, play alerts, what else you like. And there is also a time schedule where you can define when you want to get an alert and when not. That said, we are at the end of this tutorial video, and I hope we covered every aspect of FX levels. It is definitely worth to have a closer look at because I really love this tool. It helps me so much to determine where to set my take profit and my stop loss. And if you check the past morning briefing videos, you see how precise this works, and this makes me definitely a better trader. And in case of questions, just drop me a line and I'm happy to help. And I'll see you in the next one.